Good evening. This is Dimitri Lascaris coming to you for Reason to Resist from Kalamata, Greece on the evening of May 4th, 2026. Very pleased to be joined again by my colleague and friend Hadi Hoteit from Beirut, Lebanon. He just returned from the
My
South.
pleasure, Dimitri.
And just so people know who Hadi is, if you haven't already seen his wonderful journalism, he is a war correspondent for Press TV and also the director of production of Free Palestine TV, of which Laith Marouf, another frequent guest on our show, is the executive director. Thank you very much for joining us, Hadi.
Thank you for having me, Dimitri. Thank you for your wonderful journalism and covering what has been happening on our region.
We have been through some dicey situations together, and I imagine you were in some dicey situations today. You came from the South. Could you tell us what you saw today in your excursion down to the South?
Well, today I was in Beirut, and this morning I came back yesterday night. I had some work to do, but I woke up this morning on the news that the resistance was engaged in direct clashes, and they were able to ambush an Israeli force that was advancing in the early morning surprisingly on the outskirts of the Nabatiya area. It's not Nabatiya area, but it's the outskirts of the Nabatiya, just between Marjayoun, Nabatiya, and the Hujayr Valley in Zawtar area. I think you remember when we went once to Arnoun, the Beaufort Castle. So the area that the Israelis today were trying to advance was on the right of Beaufort Castle, not on the left towards the occupation, to the Israeli occupation side, but I mean to the other side. They were trying to encircle the area and to go through Zawtar al-Gharbiyya and Zawtar al-Sharqiyya valleys towards, I don't know where they were heading actually, but most probably they were heading towards another stunt of crossing the Litani River, where they were ambushed by a resistance force that was obviously waiting for them in the valley. They had direct clashes, followed by artillery shelling from the resistance, followed by another salvo and another salvo of the resistance targeting the reinforcements that were sent to rescue this elite Golani unit. Obviously, the Israelis spoke about many casualties and a very, very hard event in South Lebanon in the morning. Later, they stopped speaking about it. We can, of course, imagine how much the Israelis were relying on this media blackout about what happened in South Lebanon, that they always use when such thing happen. We suppose that in the few next days, we will have some information about what happened today, or the resistance will be able to provide us with what really happened today in terms of casualties and in terms of what was happening there, like what happened in the last ambush they received in the Taibe area, where they were trying to advance also and build another bridge to cross Litani River. And also they were ambushed by the resistance, and we saw the video where one resistance fighter was courage enough to go back to the same area the other day and film the entire location with his camera. And the video I think it's heroic enough for the people to understand what type of resistance fighter, of freedom fighters, are right now repelling the invasion in South Lebanon and are putting a limit to the expansion fantasies that the Israelis have and carry from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm. Now, recently, I understand that the Israelis destroyed an important building in your own community, the community from which your family comes in the south of Lebanon. Could you talk to us about that?
I was just today there. I went for the first time after the destruction of this community center. Of course, you know this center. We have been together next to it, going and coming in my village many times. My grandfather was one of the contributors of building this center, and many people, many of the old generation of my village contributed in building this Husseiniya, which is a place like a congregation hall, a place for gathering for the people, a place for holding ceremonies, funerals, meetings, speeches for important figures. For example, in the same Husseiniya, Sayyid Musa Sadr gave a speech about 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Sayyid Abbas al-Musawi gave many speeches. The founder of the resistance in South Lebanon, Sheikh Raghib Harb, also gave many speeches inside this Husseiniya. We can keep going. I think even Sayyid Nasrallah one time came here and went and had a meeting in it with the locals, or gave a speech in it. This is why I think they hold this type of grudge against just a hall in my village that it's 100 years old. And look, I'm going to be very honest with you. Even the people of my village, they tend to like tell their resistance fighters casually, you know, nothing is special, but like they tell them, stay away from these important buildings, as we don't want the Israelis to destroy our heritage. And also the resistance fighters themselves, they know this, and they do not act inside the villages. This is very important to know, because right now, as everybody knows, staying inside villages is just very dangerous for the resistance fighters. They cannot act freely. They cannot hide, because hiding right now is not staying inside a house. Inside a house, you will be not you. I mean, the resistance fighters, when they are inside that house, they are not taking cover from anything. The Israelis can still, when they are detected, come and attack the building and level it to the ground with everybody in it. So the best place for the resistance fighters right now is the outskirts of the villages and the valleys and the hills. This is where also the Israelis have been firing thousands of artillery shelling on these valleys and these hills, that every day we hear it and we see the attacks on the outskirts of the villages. So yes, they targeted this building, although it was attacked during the first wave of this war in the 40 days, like 2 months ago, and it was attacked, the same building, but the missile did not explode. It stayed there. So even the people here know that it was a very dangerous situation to come close to it, as there was still an Israeli bomb under the ground inside the building. And now they just like level it to the ground, destroying also the cemetery nearby it. I don't know. I think if you can publish it, I will send you some footage from today that you can publish it to let the people see how the Israelis are targeting empty buildings only to continue their collective punishment campaign, not against only the living, but also against the martyrs and the dead people, and against our history and our memories, raising the memories of a century, more than a century of important events that happened in that area, and that you can still see the stones, you know, the handmade carved stones that they were used to be done by the old masonry workers in South Lebanon. So yeah, they destroyed it.
Let's talk about the battlefield, Hadi, for a moment. We're seeing a lot of reports that Hezbollah is making devastating use of fiber optic drones. How important do you think the fiber optic drones are to resistance now? And if they are having this devastating effect that they appear to be having, why did the Israelis have so much difficulty dealing with this particular weapon?
So the drones right now are being actually used by the resistance in a way that they are being an alternative for sending the precious fighters of the resistance to try to come closer to the Israelis while they are inside the occupied zone that is well monitored by the drones and the Israeli bases inside occupied Palestine. It's very hard for the resistance fighters to reach them, as simply the technological gap that made the Israelis able to use the drones to monitor and to kill immediately and to eliminate any threat that is trying to come closer to their units is, of course, not something advisable. Sending the resistance fighters in such a mission is done only as a special mission. But in general, relying on these tactics will mean that you will definitely be risking losing lots of your elite forces and best fighters trying only to approach the Israelis. That they will not even have to get into a fight with the soldiers. They just rely on drones and quadcopters from the Israeli side to monitor and to attack and to kill without any direct clash. So the resistance is waiting for the Israelis to try to advance and do some incursions to ambush them from distance zero, because this works like it happened today. The Israeli force, of course, that was advancing through Zawtar was surprised by the resistance fighters. They did not know that they were there, of course, and this is why they were ambushed from distance zero. But of course, as a solution, and this will show us how much flexible the resistance is regarding the doctrine, the military doctrine of the resistance. When the Israelis implemented heavy drones in the fight, made the resistance fighters paying very high costs in order to be able to advance towards the Israeli invaders, they immediately used the weapon of the FPV drones that we saw them, of course, for more than 3 or 4 years in the Eastern European conflicts, especially in the late Ukraine Russia war. And for the first time here in Lebanon, Hezbollah actually shifts some of the main tactic of targeting Israelis towards using the FPV drones. Here we're speaking about also a very important thing. This came after the 66 days war, after the blockade against Lebanon, the fall of Syria, where the using of Syria to bring weapons to Lebanon is actually very hard, very, very extremely hard. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's very hard when you have the entire Syrian government against you, and you have also the Americans and the Israelis monitoring the Syrian-Lebanese borders, and you have all of this naval monitoring from the UNIFIL ships, warships, and also you have the American ships in the Mediterranean right now. So it's very hard to bring weapons to Lebanon. The resistance, by shifting towards using the quadcopters that are mostly manufactured here. The entire production cycle is using available electronics in the civilian market with 3D printers, with some reverse engineering from some existing drones done by either by military or by civilian developers and engineers to make this weapon that in a customized way that fits exactly how the resistance wants to use it. And we are also relying on seeing more developed munition. The munition is very important. So right now, I think in the upcoming days, we should be seeing a development not only in the tactics, not only in how the Hezbollah teams are operating those drones. I'm really hoping to see a development in the type of munition. For example, fragmentation warheads that can inflict heavier damage on the invaders when they are outside the vehicles, the armored vehicles, is very important. Also, like maybe the Israelis will be implementing some type of metal covers and nets above their vehicles to try to evade the drone hitting the actual body of the tank or the armored vehicle. Also, we think that the solutions for these things are there. This is why you asked me the second question about why the Israelis are having a problem in this. Basically, because the flexibility of this weapon, especially when the resistance has the complete production cycle here, it's not like just importing a weapon that you have to use it in a standardized way and you have to not change anything about it. And it's very hard to do any changes because this will require the entire numbers and the entire manual of using this weapon to be changed, and it has to go through a very long process. Here we're speaking about a weapon that is being produced here, that has proven its effectiveness in the Ukraine-Russian war, and that the resistance, it looks like during the 15 months after the 66 days war in 2024, the resistance looks like it was able to immediately understand how much it's important now to shift towards this type of new warfare and to train teams on using these FPV drones, kamikaze quadcopters. And this is what made the Israelis very surprised here, and also what should make us also having more trust in this resistance, because from these details we can understand that the Israelis are not following up with the surveillance and monitoring of what the resistance is doing. So they had no information that they will face FPV drones in South Lebanon. This is why they sent their tanks and their vehicles and their soldiers without any precautions, without any instructions about how to deal with these drones. This is what the Israeli media is revealing every day, and this is why they were defenseless in front of these drones. And I think it's very hard for the Israelis to come up with a solution that Ukraine-Russian war did not come up with. They had 3 years of I don't know how to explain it. It was one of the most dense wars regarding tactics and counter-tactics from the Ukraine and Russian side. We have 3 years of this, and still they have no solution for these fiber-optic guided munitions that are relying on a very flexible drone that is able, with the correct experience, to be sent inside buildings and inside the cars and inside what we saw in the videos that was published yesterday and the day before, that one of the resistance drones actually was sent inside the Merkava, the Namira tank or the Merkava tank from the back, from the open door. So it's very important as a weapon. And the Israelis are, for the first time, also this is very important, for the first time, this was said in the Israeli media, that our soldiers are looking up. They have now to look up. So usually in the doctrine of the Israeli soldier, the sky is a friendly side. So this is very important for the soldier who's entering the battlefield. When they have, for them, taking it as granted that the sky is on our side. They only worry about threats coming from the ground. Now they are worrying, they are adding the sky as a side that is not necessarily friendly, and that they might be receiving the weapon that will kill them from up. This is very important, and especially when we are speaking about the psychological situation of the forces that are entering Lebanon, while they are on a mission inside Lebanon, invading and trying to accomplish what the Israelis are asking them to do. They received the news that you have now to adapt to a new thing, a new threat coming from the sky. This is, I think, the most important thing, that the resistance was able to keep this as a surprise during the war. It was only revealed during the war. And as you remember, we never saw anything about this previously. And until this war, it was used, we saw how much the resistance was relying on this weapon now. Before this, we had the bigger drones, the fixed wings drones, and that are not being used now, by the way.
I want to share with you and our audience a video since published recently, which appeared to show the construction of drones. And please feel free to comment on this as we're watching it. I'm going to turn off the sound so you can perhaps enlighten us as to what's going on here.
Yeah, I watched this video. The fact that the resistance is publishing this also gives us let's say, an understanding of how much the resistance is putting a weight in this type of warfare now. So they are sending a message that, yes, we have the production cycle. This is what we spoke about before you told me you were going to be airing this video, that it's very important that we have the production cycle. It's very important to say this. When the resistance states that we are manufacturing these drones and other types of drones, the big drones and the small drones, it means that what the Israelis were counting on regarding a blockade against Lebanon, regarding the fact that Iran might be in a situation where it cannot send weapons like it used to do. I'm just like saying, maybe no, maybe Iran is still sending the same types and numbers of weapons. I have no idea, but relying on the fact that Iran now is under attack and all the supply chain for Hezbollah is under attack, it means that the Israelis were relying on this to understand that maybe what Hezbollah now has is only what was left from the 66 days war and after it. The resistance here is sending a message that no, after this we were able to manufacture our weapons, and we are manufacturing and producing and developing our own arsenal that is being built by people here in Lebanon, our engineers, our developers, our programmers, our designers. They are producing these weapons, and you can never stop this, because this means that we have the science of producing this. And of course, with the fact that Israel have been assassinating our young people here in Lebanon, especially sometimes only like people who are not related to anything that is linked to the military side. Of course, they were supported for the resistance, but they were like just PhD holders in some chemical engineering or electronics or electricity, or the Israelis were assassinating those people, which shows you that this is the same mentality of targeting the supply chain. So they suspect that you are producing something. They want to kill those who might be the reason for you to have the science behind producing this thing. Of course, the resistance must be paying attention regarding this. And of course, they must be relying on transferring or transporting this knowledge from people to other people, from teams to other teams. So in case anyone got martyred or assassinated by the Israelis, the other teams will be able to continue this. It's a problem for the Israelis to know that the most effective weapon against their forces in this war is produced here, for example, not the Cornets, not the Almas weapons, not the bigger stuff, but the FPV drones are responsible for the most of the casualties. Also, you have the small IEDs, improvised explosive devices by the resistance. Also, these are responsible for the other part of the Israeli casualties in Lebanon. And also these are produced here locally.
Next, I want to show you, Hadi, bless you, a most remarkable video that was published several days ago showing a resistance drone strike on a gathering of Israeli soldiers who were apparently putting a wounded soldier onto a military helicopter. And when I see this, I'm no military expert, but it looks to me like a tremendous amount of disorganization and lack of discipline.
That's correct.
So I'm going to play this for our audience, and please, again, feel free to comment as the camera is rolling your thoughts about what we can see here.
Yeah, actually, of course, I saw this video before, and I repeated it times and times. It was surprising for me, as you said. Your comment was very accurate. The amount of let's say wrong doings on the field. Look at when he turns the camera, look at how much the Israelis were close to each other in the same area. You had maybe more than 20 soldiers, and they were like grouped, all of them together. Yes, they were a bit lucky, those soldiers, not the one before, because they get hit and they are being transferred by the helicopter. And there have been deaths and injuries among them from the first one. The second drone that was sent, if it had escaped the airflow that was the suction effect that was produced by the helicopter that was rolling its blades under it. If this drone escaped the suction effect, it would have targeted them and caused another mass casualty, hard event for the Israeli invaders. But of course, the fact that the helicopter was there, it caused the second FPV drone to be sucked towards this airflow. That this is why it exploded this way. Still, this provides us with a very important context regarding the myth of like having this unbeatable army of the Israelis, that all of them, are portrayed in Hollywood movies as the invincible soldiers, or those military consultants who are being used all the time to give the solutions for what all of the other people on earth cannot think about or come up with. This show you that how much this is wrong. I think I definitely know that an Israeli officer right now is being questioned, and he will be fired only because of this video that was published and that showed this failure of how disorganized and they were grouped together. Also, look how they were escaping the drone. They were not abiding by any type of protocol. They were not shooting at the drone. You see in Ukraine, for example, they use some bird hunting weapons in Russia and Ukraine to shoot at the drones when they are very close to them. The bird hunting weapons that produce a shot that actually is very effective against the drones when they are a bit close. It's effective. It can be effective, let's say, more than bullets, because it's very hard to hit a drone with one bullet. It's very hard. They even did not have any of these weapons. They do not have an anti-drone, anti-FPV drone, kamikaze quadcopter protocol. This is a failure, of course, in terms of how the Israelis are preparing themselves, or were preparing themselves with the battle with the resistance in Lebanon. And this shows you how much the resistance was preparing itself in the correct way for the battle with the Israelis, because both sides, especially here, the resistance, we know that everyone here in Lebanon, we know that the Israelis will not stop attacking us, will not stop launching aggressions against our people. And also we know that the resistance will never surrender and will never give up fighting back. So yes, it was important that this time the resistance was prepared. And this is what we are still seeing. And you should know something, Dimitri, and the audience. Right now we are speaking about the fact that the Israelis have reached, in some parts, the outskirts of the Litani Bank from the southern part, from the southern side. The Israelis were thinking and were speaking about it in their media that they might reach the Litani River in 5 hours. Some of them said no, it needs a couple of days. Why? Because they were thinking that the entire South Litani area was, the Hezbollah arsenal there was dismantled. You had the Lebanese army, the UNIFIL. You had the Israeli drones, the Israeli airstrikes that never stopped for 15 months. And the Israeli intelligence and the American MQ-9s who were helping the Israelis in the intelligence and surveillance effort. All of this above focusing, especially above the south of Litani area. So right now, when we speak about a red zone, also you should know that the red zone, the Israelis are not in it. The red zone is where Israelis are targeting everybody that comes nearby it. Like what happened with our colleague Amal Khalil and Zainab. They got into the red zone. There were no Israelis there. But a drone, and later an airstrike targeted them. So, yes, now they are saying that almost the entire, or most of the Litani, south of Litani area is a red zone. Also, later they published that some parts of north of Litani have become now a red zone. And also my village, for example, some days ago was designated or was labeled as an area where the people should completely evacuate. This is why today when I went there, there were nobody. That people should completely evacuate the village, and anything moving there will be attacked and targeted. And you have been to my village, you know how much this is far away from the borders, 30 to 40 kilometers away from the borders from both sides. So the Israelis, yes, they are expanding their red zone. They are expanding their evacuation orders. This is it. But themselves, the soldiers, this is psychological warfare against our people, and also this is lying on their on the Israeli settler society, where they are publishing these maps showing that this area is, all of it is labeled in red, but on the ground it does not mean that the Israelis have control over it at all. It means that they will be attacking civilians randomly if they go there, and this is why the civilians need to evacuate it. So if they want to save their lives, the new Israeli recipe, they think, that might give them some kind of higher ground regarding fighting the resistance. And it's not working until now.
And lastly, Hadi, are the Israelis still giving preferential treatment to the predominantly Christian villages in the south, or are they now treating them more or less the same as they're treating the predominantly Muslim villages?
The myth about Israel giving respect to the Christians is a myth that was invented by some Zionist Christians inside Lebanon, that nobody in Israel, in the Israeli side, is actually speaking about. You can see this by noticing how the Israeli soldiers act. They don't have orders. They might receive orders and disobey them. No, they even do not have orders to respect anything related to Christians in South Lebanon. It's surprising that these figures related, they are all like Zionists, Christians in Lebanon and outside Lebanon. It's very weird that instead of noticing that these Christian villages have been living among all of the majority of Muslim and Shia population in South Lebanon, not for decades, for centuries, without any problem with their neighbors, completely respected. You have been to many Christian villages in South Lebanon and you saw how much everything is normal. They have all of, they have not only their churches, they have the alcohol shops, they have their own lifestyle that they can just like live however they want inside their own villages without any problem. And we had many intermarriages in South Lebanon. Many of people, for example, from villages out in the outskirts of those Christian villages, has either their daughters were married to their sons, or vice versa, their sons got married to daughters from the Christian villages. This is how our society works. And as I told you, you have been here, you know how diverse South Lebanon is, and you know how much saying that South Lebanon is Hezbollah's stronghold is just like some type of Israeli propaganda against the human experience in South Lebanon. They want to dehumanize South Lebanon. They want to dehumanize everybody in it. So yes, when they say, "Oh, it's a Hezbollah stronghold," it means like, "Oh, it's legitimate to be erased and wiped out from the face of earth." This is why they use these terminologies. Now, the Lebanese Christians have lived there perfectly fine, and you can also ask lots of them. We have lots of friends among them. I have personally went to a Christian for 12 years in my life. I have been to Collège Notre-Dame de Sœur Antonin in Nabatieh region, which is the Antonin Sisters School that also is built by a Christian education mission in South Lebanon. And this have been one of the best schools in the area. And of course, you can guess that 95% of the thousands and thousands of people who are in it, of students who are in it, are all Muslims, and most of them are Shia. Instead of those figures or who are speaking about this myth of like the Israelis respecting the Christians in South Lebanon, noticing that the Christians are more respected by the population of South Lebanon. They have relied on this, fantasy of having an exceptional situation everywhere, to think that yes, now we are exempt from being destroyed by the Israelis. Yes, they only want to destroy the Shia communities and the Hezbollah guys, but when they come, they will respect us. They will be very good with us. This is what they wish, and honestly, it's the amount of arrogance in the Israeli side. Yes, this is how the enemy acts, but they are very arrogant to the extent that they cannot even do it. You would think that yes, they would do it. It's useful for their propaganda, for their look, how they look in front of the European communities, the societies in America, and their international the international communities are observing this and how they think about the Israelis. No, they simply went inside Hermesh, inside Dibel actually. Dibel is also a Christian area that is right next to Hayt al-Sha'b, where we went together 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And hopefully we will be able to return there soon, inshallah, after it's liberated. The Israeli excavator went and destroyed a power station powered by by the solar panels. It destroyed all of it. And this solar panel station was to provide energy for a well, a water well, that the owner used to sell water for the village from this well. Now you will be surprised that it's ironic. It's really ironic, and I will end this question by this so you'll have the answer. The owner of the well was one of the most dangerous collaborators with Israel. He was an officer in South Lebanon Army, and he was killed by the resistance, and he used to own this well. And his family went to occupied Palestine and lived in Israel for like 10 to 15 years. And later, because you have how the situation in Lebanon is regarding Christians who are families of Israel collaborators in Lebanon, they have been granted special treatment so they can return to Lebanon and live in their villages, regardless of the fact that they have been living in Israel for years. And they did it. They returned from occupied Palestine to live inside their village in Dibel. And the relative of this officer in the collaborator army who got killed by the resistance back then and before the liberation, did renovate this well and this water production process to sell water for the village and live there, and have his own economic project and business. They came and destroyed this. It was actually hilarious. And honestly speaking, no one in Lebanon could feel sorry for this. We were all like saying, okay, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's not very yes, we refuse, of course, every kind of aggression from the Israelis against our people, of course. But the fact that ironically they came and targeted their people, the one who was living in Israel, and his father or uncle was the main officer for the collaborator army that was killed by the resistance. It shows you how much respect they pay to the Christians of South Lebanon. This is added to the fact that they destroyed the churches. They destroyed also many churches, and one of them is like a big church with dormitories for the nuns, and this some Christian missions or teams in South Lebanon, they have this the tradition of bringing nuns and religion preachers or something from outside Lebanon to come to live here for some years and to go back to other countries. This was one of them, and it was historic. It was standing there for I think more than 1 century. I think more than this. And the Israelis destroyed it, and not by an airstrike, by excavators. You know what's the difference? They can, when you destroy something with an excavator, you can never claim that, oh yeah, there was a Hezbollah fighter in it. No, they came with an excavator to destroy it. That's it. They have another video when they are smashing the head of a statue for Jesus Christ with a hammer. Of course, this shows you how much the Israeli propaganda is challenged by their own soldiers filming themselves what they are doing in Lebanon. That's it. We don't have to pay lots of effort to actually dismantle this propaganda. You can just watch the videos they are publishing themselves, the selfies they are taking themselves, what is being recorded on videos, what is being published by the people of these Christian communities who are, oh, look, they are destroying the church. And the people from the Christian village are filming this.
Yeah.
It's clear that
watching
this is
Israel
a myth.
Commit political suicide before our very eyes. In any case, Hadi, it's a great pleasure speaking with you, my brother. Please stay safe out there. And
Thank you for having me.
We have to make
Thank
a point
you for
of
having me.
on Reason to Resist more often because you have so much to tell us that we need to know. Thank you, brother. Take care.
I hope that what I said was informative and useful, and I hope that your audience, as usual, will excuse my English. That is my third language and not my second language.
It was impeccable. And if you like this video, you found it informative, please share it, like it, and if you're not already a subscriber to our audience members, please become one. Help us expand the reach of our unapologetic resistance journalism. Peace out, everybody.